Have you ever thought about what happened while the electricity industry completed its evolution? Well, if your answer is yes, we have a couple of things to talk about. Hello everyone, I'm Ilhami from Electrical and Electronics Department. Welcome to my presentation named Critical Events That Changed the Process of Current Wars. As some of you might know, one of the fundamental facts of the electricity is that the flow of the electric does not happen in a certain way. There are two specific ways that currents flow, which are called direct currents and alternating currents. A type of transmission current really matters because it will change all the methods that are used, and most importantly, it will change the cost. For example, according to an article that is published on Electrical Engineering Portal, AC transmission is way much cheaper when it's compared to the DC transmission at certain distances. But back in the 19th century, this cost and effectivity problem was a controversial issue. Um, there were inventors and investors who supported AC and DC transmission, which paved the way to a great war between two inventors who are Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. And today I'm going to talk about two big incidents that changed the course of the war of currents. So here's my outline. After I mention about two incidents, I will conclude my speech. So the first incident that affected the process of electric wars was the personal fight between Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla. Back in 1830, Nikola Tesla was a young and specialist engineer, while Thomas Edison was a company owner and a famous inventor. He was constructing systems to supply electricity to residential areas with DC currents. Not being so surprisingly, he had some problems while integrating the system. Right at this point, Nikola Tesla enters our story in a very assertive manner. He claimed that he could solve the optimization problem. Edison offered him $50,000 provided that Tesla solves it. Let me be a little more precise about how big this money is with a line graph that I retrieved from officialdata.org. This graph shows the buying power of $1 with respect to time from 1800 and 2022. When we compare the worth of $1 in mid-1800s and 2022, we see a dramatic difference. And when we divide them, we see that $1 was 40 times more powerful in the 19th century than today. So $50,000 was a great amount of money back then. Anyway, our genius engineer, Tesla, found a way out to Edison's trouble. However, Edison didn't make the payments, and moreover, he said to Tesla that I quote, "You don't understand our American humor." And this was the first crack between these two that had never been fixed. After this unfortunate event, as expected, Tesla quit his job. He didn't work for Edison. Instead, he continued working independently, and eventually he took investors' attention with his AC transmission project and moved on his career. Another watershed of Battle of Currents was at the Chicago World's Fair in 1893. First, let me tell you what a World's Fair is. In those years, modern countries such as UK, France, and United States had organized international fairs to show the world how developed they are. Mostly, they had shown their most recent technological or scientific developments to everyone who had visited the fair. And the Chicago World's Fair was the first World's Fair for the United States, and it was open to the public for 6 months, and more than 27 million people had visited uh, the fair. This is an amazing number because at those years the population of the United States was about 60 million, so it's almost half of the country, the number of people who visited the fair. So anyway, the point here is showing the presence in Chicago World's Fair was a huge opportunity for both Tesla and Edison. In 1893, all companies in the world that worked on electricity were asked to submit bids to lighten up the fair during nights with electricity. According to an article published on Strategic Finance, Edison offered $50,000, while Tesla and his investor offered less than $400,000. So winning this bid was important for Nikola Tesla, and they did. He, he and his investor did, because this fair had a great amount of prestige, and Tesla and his AC current actually had a great job during the fair. It was the first fair in the world that was lighting up using electricity. Everyone saw how properly AC current worked. This event was actually the turning point of the electric wars between Edison and Tesla, because before this event, Edison's formula was more popular. But after this event, the perception for the AC current changed. 80% of the electrical devices ordered after the Columbian Expo were for Westinghouse and Tesla's alternating currents. So let me wrap up the whole story. So Tesla and Edison had different ideas about transmission of electricity. They had different solutions, but uh, due to the deception of Edison, they went into a war. And because of the great success of AC current in the Chicago World's Fair, Tesla and his AC transmission system made a really strong, a really decent comeback compared to the DC power of Edison. So this comeback made the AC current used widely. Uh, in this context, I want to say that actually we should be thankful to both of those inventors, since their competition had brought the whole electricity industry to where it stands today. Anyway, that's all I would like to share. Thank you all for your attention. Here is my reference list if you are interested.